It should be on now. Let me do a quick sound check real quick. All right. How y'all doing this evening?
Let me do a quick sound check real
We
quick.
are good. All right. Let me turn this down. Hello everyone. Who 186 back again with another video. How y'all doing? This is going to we're gonna be talking about Sony putting the kibosh on their E3 conference for next year. Let me share this out real quick and then okay. Yeah, we're good to go. All right, yeah, like I said, Sony has decided that they're not going to be doing a Sony E3 conference for next year. I don't we don't know what they're going to do. They already can't. They already pretty much they pretty much not they didn't do a PSX for the end of this year. They're not doing that, and so they're not doing an E3 also. So now for me, I found out about this yesterday. This was a big deal. I think I was at work at the time when I watched it when I heard about it, and obviously fanboy war shit, going back and forth and this and that, saying people saying that Sony had nothing to show, they blew their load and all this stuff, and PlayStation fans, some of the ones that I've seen, they're saying, oh well, E3 is irrelevant, shit like that, and I'm here to kind of like, I'm here to tell you pretty much what I think is going on here, which is not much. I don't know what they're doing. um not that I don't mean it in a way that like I'm dismissing what they're doing, what saying that I'm not happy necessarily about what they're doing, because I don't know what they're doing. I legit don't know. um I don't think it's a good thing or a bad thing until we find out more concrete evidence, because Sony really hasn't said anything about this. This a report that was out there. They really didn't say anything. I think there was a Twitter account. I think the official E3 Twitter account, pretty much reaffirming that hey, we're gonna be on next year. This and that. Microsoft, they kind of threw their own little subliminal shot in there as well. So like I said, it is big news when the lead company in the industry, at least for consoles, is not going to be there. Now, me personally, my history with E3 is I love E3. I love watching E3. Um, good, bad, whatever. I like watching E3. It is a moment. I don't know if it's necessarily the big. Let me see. I guess you could say that when it comes to news, it is the biggest stage for video games, right? It's when people have their eyes have the most eyes on the industry. So for them not to be, and and also when I listening to podcasts, I listen to podcast beyond in the past, PlayStation Nation podcast. I listen to some other podcasts, more neutral type podcasts as well. And there's always been this talk about E3 kind of diminishing in stature, right? There's always been this talk about. I know Colin Moriarty has talked about it in the past. I know Greg Miller's talked about it in the past. Then those guys would know, right? Already Nintendo really doesn't really have. I wouldn't say necessarily have a presence at E3, but they don't do press conferences anymore. They do more like Nintendo Direct and stuff like that. And that at the time was a big deal because E3 was still a thing, and I still think E3 is a thing. You know what I mean? I'm when I heard about it, I'm not gonna lie, I am disappointed that Sony's not gonna do one. You know what I mean? Because obviously my favorite E3 moments and my least favorite E3 moments have all centered around as always centered around Sony. From the bullshit reveal of the PS3 in '06. I think was it '05 or '06? I think it was '06. To I know I remember, they had a killer show. I want to say 2012, where they showed off God of War Ascension and The Last of Us, and it was a great show. But the thing is that in between they had that Wonder Book shit that was garbage, and then obviously at the beginning of this generation with the mic drop moment that Sony had, where they pretty much just pretty much curb stomp Microsoft with the pro consumer practices and shit like that. And then obviously you look at some of the things they that they show with the 2015 E3, which you could say, looking back on it, was a lot of smoke and mirrors, and not necessarily because of Sony, because of Square, because of I guess Shimu is gonna be coming. Shimu 3 is coming out pretty soon, so you have that at least. But obviously that show was a legendary show. So for me, like, I like E3. I like watching E3, and I know that it's not necessarily for us. I know it's not necessarily for gamer. I know it's for investors, and I know that and obviously you can't really deny, if Sony's not going to do it. You can't deny that it takes a little bit of a sting from the whole event. But like I said, I still like E3. I still like the event, and I'm disappointed that they're not going to do a conference. But I'm also excited to see what Microsoft is going to be doing this year as well, because obviously I I mean, obviously, I think we'll see more of God, Gears of War 5. Hopefully, we see more Session. Hopefully that game comes out soon. Um, I'm really excited about that game. But hopefully Microsoft has a good show. What I mean, regardless of whether Sony's there or not, Microsoft is still going to be there, and hopefully they knock it out of the park. But for me, I am a little bit disappointed. You know what I mean? But with that said, I don't know what they're going to do. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of the PlayStation guys are saying that that it might lead to and I know some industry people have said this too, that it might lead to a PS5 reveal, maybe at PSX 2019, which we don't know if PSX is gonna if Sony's gonna have a PSX next year. We don't know that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't we don't know what they're going to we don't know what they're planning for 2019. We don't know. Like, if you look at the pattern of look at what happened last generation, people saying that they don't need E3 because they can just announce that at a random event. Well, they announced the PS4 at a random event, and still had an E3, right? And they actually revealed the look of the. I believe they revealed the look of the console at E3. You know what I mean? So, I mean, to me, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe, if I think it would make sense if they decide. And let's say they have a PSX next year, they talk about the PS5, um, at PSX, right? Maybe show off, do what they did last time, show off some scissor reels, show off some gameplay, show off the features and stuff like that. Do it for PSX, and then at E3, which is granted it would be like 6 months from now, 6 months later. They show off the system. They show off, gameplay of whatever launch games coming out for the system. Maybe they do that. You know what I mean? Maybe they do that. But to me, like, I don't know. I don't know what their plan. I don't know what their plans are. So for me to say that this is a good thing or a bad thing, even though I'm personally disappointed that they're not going to have an E3, at the end of the day, if let's say if they have an event that's at least their own event that is on the scale of E3, then my disappointment goes away. Obviously. So, like, yeah. So even though I'm disappointed that they're not going to have an E3, I don't know. I still don't know what they're going to be doing for 2019, at all. Like, I just don't know. Now, um, the idea that one of the ideas that has been floating around, this mainly from Xbox fanboys, is that they don't have any game to show. Now, the remaining AAA exclusives that they have is the Kojima game, Death Stranding. They have Days Gone, which is actually going to be coming out. I believe it's going to come out early next year, first quarter next year, and The Last of Us. Now, oh, and Ghost of Tsushima. Excuse me, Ghost of Tsushima, and technically Dreams. I guess you can, if you want to count Dreams as well. Now, in my honest opinion, I do believe that Dreams and Days Gone definitely, I think, are going to come out this year, next year. Um, I'm 50-50 on Ghost of Tsushima. Um, I think The Last of Us is 2020, in my opinion. I think The Last of Us is 2020. Um, and what's the other one? I guess I said Ghost. I said Last of Us, Days Gone. Death Stranding. Death Stranding is the one that that is like on the fence with. I do think that the game will come out eventually. I do think the game will come out and either I do think the game will come out, you know, relatively soon. I think it will come out before The Last of Us. I think it'll come out before. I actually do think it'll come out before Ghost of Tsushima. But it's just figuring out when that game comes out. Is when is that's the thing I don't know. That's the thing I can't really pinpoint. So they like you still have five exclusives that five first party. I don't know if if you consider Kojima's game first party, but you still have five major PlayStation PS4 games still coming out, right? So and I know Sean Layden did an interview some time ago saying that they didn't do a PSX because they didn't really have a lot of games to show, and they didn't want to mislead people, which is something that a lot of Xbox fans criticize Sony of misleading people, but then at the same time want to criticize Sony for not having a show. So I mean, I don't know how that works, but it is what it is. So so do I think is I mean he said it. I mean Sean Layden said it. So I do think that is partially part of I think that is partially true that they don't really have a lot of first party content to show to justify bringing a whole bunch of people to a show. I do think I do think he's telling the truth in that. Does that mean that they have nothing to play? That Sony had nothing for 2019? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. I just think that they just don't. I feel. I guess they feel like they don't have enough first party content to justify people showing. To justify spending the money to do the show. And if that's the case, then I guess that it is what it is, right? Um, it could be another reason could be the PS5 reveal, like I discussed earlier. But like I said, I don't think it's necessarily an excuse because they've announced consoles at E3. At least I believe they have. I think the PS3 was announced at E3. I'm pretty sure the PS2 was announced at E3. That was a long time ago. But like I said, I don't think the PS5 review. That doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to me. Why they wouldn't do an E3? Even but like I said, it is what it is, right? So so yeah. And another thing from some of those PlayStation guys that I've seen, they said that E3 is irrelevant. Sony doesn't need it. All that other stuff, right? Now, me personally, like I said, obviously I'm a mainly PlayStation dude. Um, I like the PlayStation brand. And I like most of the people who I follow who are PlayStation guys. But let's be fucking honest here. If they had an E3, if Sony had an E3 for 2019 and that shit was awesome, would they be saying that E3 is irrelevant? Absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. They know damn well that if they had a show and that show was kick ass, that they would not be saying that that show is irrelevant now, right? Yeah, we all know that the E3 doesn't have the same presence that it used to have, but I still think it's a big show. I still think it's the top, the top, you know, you know, video game showcase that we have. I still think it's the top one, right? And for them to say that that is somehow irrelevant and shit like that, that to me is bullshit. Cause it's not irrelevant. It absolutely is not irrelevant, especially considering the reaction that would happen. And imagine Microsoft did this. And normally I don't buy into the whole media bias thing, and I still don't buy into the media bias thing when it comes to Microsoft. But if you telling me that if Microsoft decided that they're not going to do an E3 this year, that somehow you guys are going to be okay with that, and somehow the narrative, because the narrative about the PS4 not having the PlayStation not having an E3, I feel like the reaction to it has been mainly positive. Some media outlets saying that it's not, they're not saying it's a bad move or whatever. They're actually saying some of them are saying it's actually a good move. You know what I mean? But I guarantee you that if Microsoft did the same thing that you guys that it would be looked at negatively. And I'm also one of these people who don't look at things as black and white. There are certain things that happen to one person that are not the same if the same thing happens to the other person. Like what I mean by that is that there is always shades of gray. right? If I'm not, this is a bit of an extreme example, but I guess this is the only thing I could think of at the time. If let's say if one bad thing, let's say if two bad things happen to one person, right? To two people, right? The same bad thing that happened to two different people. Yeah, one person over here who's a good person, you know, does their job correctly, and just just bad shit happen. Let's say okay, let me dial it back a little bit. Let's say if they both get fired, if two people get fired, right? Both these people, same thing happened to them. They both get fired. Yeah, one person over here who does everything the right way, does their job correctly, always respectful, this and that. They had to lay them off because they just couldn't afford them anymore, right? And then you have this person right here who's a piece of shit, doesn't do anything, lazy as fuck, but he has to get let go as well because they can't afford to pay him. I'm obviously going to feel a lot worse for the person who does their job correctly than the person who does their job poorly. So what I mean by that is, while I agree with Xbox fanboys when they say that the news about them not having an E3 would be looked upon a lot worse than it does with a PlayStation guy, and I totally agree with that. Let's be real here, Xbox fanboys. It's not. We gotta look at things. Not everything is black and white. We have to look at this honestly. Look at Microsoft exclusive lineup for the last 2 years, right? And the fact that you know, the biggest news that Microsoft has generated over the past couple years, the past 2 years, is them acquiring studios to make games for you guys, right? That should tell you the status that Microsoft that has had to deal with this generation when it comes to their games. Now, I've never subscribed to the idea that the Xbox don't have any games. Never subscribed to that. I don't agree with that. But let's be honest here. You can't look at God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4, Spider Man. You can't look at and Detroit Become Human. You can't look at those games and put them on par with State of Decay and Sea of Thieves. And obviously you have Forza there. You have the Forza games, which are always excellent games, right? But you look at games like State of Decay to Sea of Thieves. You look at the cancellation of Scalebound. You can't tell me that in the problem that Crackdown's had, you can't tell me that both companies have been performing the same. That's not the case at all. So while people are more lenient towards Sony when it comes to them, getting rid of E3, at the end of the day, they've bought a lot of people. They've gotten everyone benefit of the doubt because they've done nothing but release bangers for the last couple years. For the last 3 years, they've done nothing but release bangers, right? Their first party studio has, in my opinion, has been the best performing group of studios of the three major companies. Better than Nintendo and far better than Microsoft. That's just a fact. That's not fanboyism. That's just honest. I'm just being honest here. So if they need a year to pretty much reload, then a lot of people are going to give them the benefit of the doubt. You guys don't do it because you guys either hate Sony or don't like the fact that Microsoft don't get the same benefit of the doubt. I mean, look, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Not everything is fair. Not everything is fair. So while I do agree with Xbox fanboys when it comes to them, them saying that it would be reviewed, that it would be looked upon differently if Microsoft did it. That's true. But at the end of the day, not everything is black and white. Sony's done such a great job this generation when it comes to releasing their games. At least, I mean, eventually they got a good job of doing that. But again, that they got, they get the benefit of the doubt. They get the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that I can talk about when it comes to this topic. Let me look through Twitter real quick. I think I've pretty much covered everything. I think I've pretty much covered everything. Let's see. Yeah, like I said, I guess I'll just kind of revert back to my main point. Yeah, I guess just to go back to my main point, it's like, for me, like I said before, I'm disappointed that they're not doing an E3. I love E3, and I'm still gonna watch E3. I'm still gonna be hooked on to E3 for news on games and stuff like that. I'm still on board with E3, right? And I am disappointed that Sony's not doing one. At the same time, I want to give them the benefit of doubt as to what they are going to do. You know what I mean? Whether it's release, announce the PS5, where they have their own little event, whatever, or even do something like a Nintendo Direct. Whatever they're gonna do, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? As long, at the very least, as long as Ghost of Tsushima comes out, I'm good. I'm good because one, I own multiple consoles. So if, let's say, if Sony has a bit of a drought, I have my Xbox. You know what I mean? And it's not like third party games aren't going or going away. So I'm good. And in fact, if there is a bit of a lull when it comes to new games, at least games that I'm interested in for next year, I got a backlog. I mean, I have a backlog. I still have to beat Horizon Zero Dawn, which I believe I'm getting really really close to doing. I still have to be Horizon Zero Dawn. I still have to be. I'm sorry. There's noise in the background. I still have to be Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm still getting through God of War and Spider Man. Plus I have MLB the show. I have NBA, I have NBA 2K19. I have Pro Evolution Soccer. I have a slew of fighting games that I still play. So I'm good. You know what I mean? I have tons of games to play and I'm happy. I am happy. Plus, on the Xbox, I still play Halo from time to time. Um, I gotta get back into Gears. I'm definitely looking forward to Gears 5. Like I said, I have tons of games to play, so I'm good. I'll be all right. So that's just my opinion on the whole E3 thing. I think that's about it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I am out. Peace.